Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is, well, Redbeard, it's a damn fine day. Damn fine day to talk about a book, and we are here for Beard on King, episode 28. We are going to talk about Wolves of the Calla. First time read for me. Again, I'm very repetitive here. I apologize. I have done books one through three times, book four two times. And this is my first reading of Wolves of Kala, trying to finally make it to the end of the beam, trying to finally make it to the Dark Tower and see how all this stuff finishes. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Tower novels. I, I like Stephen King's horror stuff way more than I like this fantasy type stuff. That said, I do like how all King's work is pulled together in this Dark Tower series. So, in this one, Roland, Eddie, Jake, Susanna are are on the path of the beam. They're working towards the Dark Tower. We come to a place called Calla Bryn Sturgis, and in this town, we stay there for the whole book. So we don't make much ground up on the path. But in Caliban Sturgis, everyone has twins, and there are these monster like they said they look like Doctor Doom. I mean, green cloaks, silver masks. The masks are wolf-like, but it actually says in the book Doctor Doom. They use weapons um, that are like grenades that are actually called sneeches. Harry Potter model. So there's a shout out to Harry Potter in here. Anyway, they come every 23, 24, something like that years. And again, everyone in the town has twins. They take one of the children, and the children are eventually returned, but they are returned ruined, ruined, RONT, ruined, disabled in some aspect, and then they also then I believe die young. Um, so again, happens over 20, 23, 24 years. It's not 27 years, which I believe is how often it came to torture the children. But very, very similar in that manner. The townspeople are kind of mixed on this, but basically ask for help from the gunslingers to fight against these wolves of the Kala. Some townspeople just want to deal with it. We've dealt with this forever. It's not that big of a deal that this happens every 23, 24 years, whatever it is. And some people are sick of it and want to stand up and fight against these things. So yeah, that's the outlying story. Now, the coolest thing for me about this book, my favorite part about the book probably is that we meet Father Callahan again. Now, I may be wrong about this. I don't know that we've met with Father Callahan again since Salem's Lot, which I believe was the second novel, Stephen King's second novel. I recently, last 2, 3 years, reread that one. It's one of my favorites of all time, and I'm not really a vampire guy, but that book, I love that book, and when I was young, and when I read it for the first time, it absolutely scared the shit out of me. Like so much so that like I couldn't leave the book sitting upright on my bedside table when I had to put it away. But anyway, so we meet Father Callahan, and I don't know. I mean, if I knew, I don't think. I thought that Father Callahan died in Salem's Lot in his big showdown with Barlow in Mark Petrie's house. I thought that was the end of Father Callahan. I mean, his faith is tested. The cross, the, Barlow breaks the cross, and I don't know if it immediately just switches or what happens there, but I really thought that was the end of Father Callahan. Now, if something happens in Salem's Lot to tell us that that is not the case, then I'm drawing a major blank on that, and I apologize. But we meet Father Callahan, and we learn what happened with him after that, after the events of Salem's Lot, and he's again not been killed, not been turned, but he's been made unclean. he's not undead, but he's unclean, and because of that, he has the ability to identify vampires. And in his mind, there are three classes of vampires, like a tier one, tier two, tier three. You know, tier one is like a Barlow, and so on and so forth. But spends a lot of time in like homeless shelters and like kind of halfway houses and stuff, and starts a path towards becoming somewhat of a vampire slayer. And I'm not going to go too deep into that, but we spend a lot of time on Father Callahan's, I guess, backstory from this point, not backstory, or I guess partly, but not backstory from Salem's Lot, but post story, what happened after. So, enjoyed that part. Like I said, I do enjoy how these books pull all the magic of the Stephen King universe together. So, and I believe that Father Callahan is going to go on with this. I don't know if he makes it all the way to the tower, but I mean, I believe he has a role to play in Song of Susanna and possibly even the last book. So, so that part was super cool. All the while, Susanna, I mean, God, she's been through the ringer, hadn't she? I mean, all the stuff with Detta Walker and Odetta Holmes, and then Susanna and Susanna Dean, and now she is Mia. She is this demonic presence, Mia's mother. She's carrying a baby, and I don't. Again, uh, I'm not great at following these in audio, so I don't know if I missed some information there. Like initially, I thought that she had been impregnated in the like the demonic ring where she was, lack of a better way of putting it, I think raped, earlier in these books, and I thought that she had been impregnated by that. I'm not sure if that's the case or if this Mia presence just kind of took her over. And I mean, I know that this pregnancy, like this Mia character, comes in and out, like and when she takes her over, Susanna has really really weird habits, really really weird things that Roland is starting to observe. So again, big showdown with these wolves of the Calla. Now, for me, and I'm finding this to be the case with a lot of these books, and maybe this isn't fair, but like, um, early on we find out about these things, these creatures, these child abductors, and you almost feel like that showdown is going to be a lot more dynamic, and then you go somewhere else. Like in this one, we go to Father Callahan's story, and for me, like when the showdown happened, maybe it wasn't as dynamic as I thought it was going to be. Um, but yeah, like there are ties to Stephen King works, there are ties to Harry Potter, there are ties to Star Wars. I mean, there is a robot in the town, Andy, that is I don't know, kind of like a C-3PO, I guess. I mean, not like in appearance, but anyway. So and we had this showdown with the wolves of the Kala, and what happens there. I'm not going to tell you, but and then at the end of it, Mia kind of disappears back through a door in this cave, into somewhere in, we assume, New York, but we don't know what timeline. And again, you're left with this situation of she is gone away, we think, to give birth. Now, they've kind of led us to believe that she can't survive this birth, whatever it is she's carrying, that it will kill her. So we kind of leave in this place where um, Eddie and Jake and Father Callahan are going to be trying to find Susanna and save her. And you know, I think there's a bit of a conflict there with Roland. His main goal having always been the tower, and Eddie's like, I don't care if I ever see the tower. Susanna is my main goal. So that's kind of where we're left at the end of this one. Probably 3 stars for me. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Father Callahan parts. I mean, I will say that, um, the drawing of the three, the wastelands. I'm like, I really kind of started to, I think, fall in love with the character. I mean, for me, the gunslinger was kind of like meh. But then in the drawing of the three, well, we meet Eddie Dean, and Odetta Holmes slash Detta Walker, and so on. And Jake eventually comes back. I kind of started to fall in love with, I guess, the quartet, and I feel like that's kind of, I mean, not being lost, but definitely being minimized for me personally, is what it is. I'm hoping that, I see the magic that everybody else sees it when I finally make it to the end. But for me, 3 stars. I mean, definitely glad that I've done it. Definitely glad that I'm finally gonna make it to the end eventually. But yeah. So that's it. This is Wolves of the Calla. And yeah, 3 stars from me. This is Well Red Beard. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.